Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with Kev again. Kev, it feels like we're doing these shows. Well, we are doing them every day at the minute.
Well, I obviously had a couple of weeks off, bit of illness, been stuff going on, been away. So, and you gave me a little bit of grief, and so I thought I'll just do every single day of the week for the next 2 years, and that might get you back. So we're just going to do straight through like 700 podcasts now. The next few. No, it's what else would I rather be doing on a night time than chatting through our upcoming Premier League fixture against Luton Town with you, mate. What else would I rather?
Exactly. Who could? I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else, mate. So, absolutely. Guys, please do hit the like button and hit that subscribe button. We are motoring on to 2,700 subscribers on the road to 3K. You guys can really help us get there. So, like, subscribe, notification, join and become a member. That'll be even better. Just $1.99 a month. But yeah, help us on the road to 3K. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you very much. So, yes, as you said, Kev, Luton Town approaching on Sunday afternoon. The opportunity for Aston Villa to make it 12 home Premier League wins in a row. I guess there's no, with all due respect, there's no better opportunity to get it than against Luton.
I mean, you couldn't really ask for more, could you? Really? I mean, you can maybe argue Sheffield United at home or Burnley at home potentially as well would be as easy a fixture. But complacency is a dangerous thing in football. I don't think Unai is going to let them be complacent. It certainly doesn't seem like he's that kind of manager where he leaves anything to chance. But yeah, if you look at our next two fixtures, Luton then Forest afterwards, it's a real opportunity to continue this good form. And a team like Aston Villa in current form should be really putting Luton to the sword quite convincingly.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a win by hook or by crook, and we'll get into Luton in terms of their style, how they might approach it. Certain players, obviously, some players familiar to Villa supporters. But yeah, you mentioned kind of complacency, Emery not settling for that. I mean, just the fact that we've off the back of 2-4-1 victories, before that a draw away at Wolves, great win against Brighton. I mean, we're absolutely flying. Like there's always that nagging doubt, but you just think with the options we've got on the bench, with different players that can come in, with the different attacking threats that we've talked about constantly over this week, the number of goals we're scoring, we've got to be licking our lips at this prospect.
Yeah, as we said post Alkmaar game, you get players coming in the team and actually performing like that. Look, two of the players that didn't start in the game against West Ham were arguably the two best players on the pitch in terms of Bailey and Tielemans. So, who'd have thought we would have been saying that about Leon Bailey, particularly me, going back even maybe 2 months. So, yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy to be humble enough to admit that I don't think I was wrong at the time. I think he did flatter his seat for a long time, and I think he was poor for a long time. But whether it was confidence, whether it was confidence in his body in terms of his ability to do what he needs to do, or confidence in his ability, either way, who cares? We are where we are. We can't get too carried away. But he is a real potent threat, and obviously another tremendous goal like the one he scored last week was a tremendous goal. And we're probably going to have a situation where the two centre backs that played really well the other night probably won't play. I think Luton's a game where you could bring in probably a Traoré, and I know that you'd notice a massive loss. Think about it. If Traoré had gone to Luton, it would have been a good signing for him. Think about it in terms of the quality of that. I think this is the kind of game even you could bring in a Callum Chambers or someone like that. So, I look at the way we're playing at the moment, and do you know what? I don't know if you look at goals this season, we're probably the top scorers in the country, Premier League, in terms of our European goals as well. Because I know Newcastle put a few
Newcastle one ahead of us in the Prem, aren't they?
Yeah, but if you add all goals in all competitions, we beat Hibernian
Can't be far off. Yeah,
8 on aggregate, didn't we?
Yeah.
We put 4 past Alkmaar, so it's three at Legia, wasn't it? Was it 3 we got?
We got 2.
2 at Legia. Yeah. Sorry, 3 at Legia, and obviously the most our games. Yeah. So for Aston Villa to be the great entertainers, the goal scorers, goals coming from all over the place. It's just great to see, isn't it? It's just great to see.
Exactly. Touched on the Emery not letting the players get into that kind of mindset of complacency. How do you think he approaches this game?
I think there will be a few changes. Not loads, but a few. I'm comparing that again to probably the Premier League game against Luton. Sorry, against West Ham rather than the midweek game. But I'm talking maybe 1, 2, 3. I don't think that'll be excessive. And I think he'll probably want to just get the job done as soon as he can. So I expect probably quite a fast start. I think he'd like a situation where he maybe could bring a few players off with 30 minutes to go. I think if you against Luton, you're 2-3 and look. I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but just this is where we're at now as Villa. As you'd expect back in the day that a Man United or a Chelsea would have done. Bigger teams against smaller teams. 11 home wins on the bounce in the Premier League. We're an absolute force at home. I think he'd like to probably try and get it out of the way to then maybe give Watkins half an hour off. Give McGinn half an hour off. Louise the same.
Interesting. So, talking about Emery approaching it, obviously the opponents come into Villa Park. You've mentioned all these statistics, the number of goals we're scoring, the fact that we've got 11 Premier League wins in a row. We're 5th in the table. We've romped to a victory against AZ Alkmaar in midweek. I'm sure Luton all have been watching that. They've had scouts watching that. How does Rob Edwards approach this game?
Well, look, they've got a decent press, haven't they, Luton? They're quite, energetic and that's their style. Maybe not too much technicality. They've definitely got some people that can pose problems if you give them enough of an opportunity to do it. We really should be able to. If you look at teams like Alkmaar, teams like West Ham, we should just be able to be calm, patient, play around the press, let them almost burn themselves out like a boxer, in the opening rounds. And I think our extra level of technical skill will get us over the line in terms of chances taken. I don't expect too much from Luton. I think particularly away from home, I don't think that'd be particularly great. I don't think look, the one thing I say about them, they're not getting battered, are they?
No, they're not.
I actually think if you look at the start of the season, I think they shipped 4 to Brighton, and I think they shipped 3 to Chelsea. That was kind of like the first couple of games, and then since then, I don't think they've been beaten by significant amounts of goals. They lost 1-0 at Fulham, 2-1 at home to West Ham, beat Everton 2-1, obviously at their place, that was good. 2-2 draw at Forest recently, lost 1-0 at home to Spurs, and they lost 2-1 at home to Burnley, which was a bit of a bad result, but it could have gone either way. So they're losing by the odd goal. That Spurs result, wasn't particularly amazing in terms of Spurs, but they're not getting battered. So they're clearly proving they're no pushovers. They've clearly tightened up since the start of the season. But my God, we've put 6 past Brighton. We put 4 past Everton, 4 past West Ham. We put 4 away past Alkmaar. Yeah, I think there's going to be goals. And I think the point goes the other way around. There's not been many games this season they've scored more than 1 goal. Probably just the Forest and the Everton game. So if we do score 2 or 3, they're going to have to go some to get everything out of the game.
Yeah. I think they're fairly solid to play like a 3-5-2 or even 3 kind of 4. Was it 3-4-1-1? Almost like very, very solid setup. Got big, strong players. Out of all the teams, in my opinion, that have come up, I've actually been impressed with Luton the most. I think they've got a style that will be effective, will frustrate teams, will go out, will get results as they've shown. And if you're playing for percentages, set pieces, getting the ball in the box, winning second balls, you will get goals against teams in the Prem because teams will make mistakes. Whereas if you approach it like, say, a Burnley, who are trying to play football, play their way through the league, you end up getting punished because your players aren't good enough. And then obviously Sheffield United are really struggling at the moment. But yeah, I think Luton, in terms of their players, I like the look of Carlton Morris. I think he's adapted to the league pretty well. He'll give Konsa and Pau Torres a tough afternoon if they're the ones that are starting. He may plump for Diego Carlos just for that additional strength in there. So that could be an option. And then obviously we've got ex-Villa boys, Marvelous Nakamba, Martin's favourite, and Ross Barkley, who's maybe not a favourite at Villa Park, but yeah, came on. I think he's had some injury problems, but Nakamba's certainly one who goes down fondly in Villa memory. I mean, he's an effective midfielder.
Yeah, he is. I think I saw a stat the other day that he's had the most tackles in the Premier League this season.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't be surprised, would you, really, on that sense?
I mean, they're probably trying to tackle more than most teams are, aren't they, in terms of not having the ball? But yeah, look, just on Luton, they're the team that I'm probably rooting for the most out of all the promoted teams. I lived in Sheffield for a bit, so I've got a little bit of a fondness for Sheffield United, but I love the Luton story. I love the romance of football. For those that saw the last part of me going on a bit of a passionate sort of rant about Aston Villa and how big we are and what we can achieve and all that kind of stuff. If you haven't seen it, please check it out, because I had a few tears myself watching it back. But yeah, I think sport's all about dreams, isn't it? And all about, surpassing expectations. To go from the non-league to the Premier League in consecutive seasons, to have, is it Pele, the guy who's gone through the
Pele
whole,
Ruddock, is it?
Yeah. And I just think watching them in the Championship, I saw a few of the games in the Championship, their style is effective, and I do think they'll get some points. I mean, interestingly, they've not got any wins at home this season yet so far. They won away, didn't they, Goodison? But they've been in games, and you're right, Carlton Morris. I made an absolute faux pas. I missed my deadline for Fantasy League, so I've got Carlton Morris starting up front with Watkins for my team. Brilliant, but yeah, I know. We'll see what happens. Maybe
4-1 win. Yeah.
No, I want a 6-5 win Watkins to get them all, and Morris to get theirs. But yeah, I mean, I like the look of that Lockyer. Obviously, you had that heart scare, obviously, in the playoff final. I think he's effective. He's at all action, and I think that Nakamba will certainly do a job in there. And I think a few of the other players that they've got. I think the Date looks pretty decent. I think Benny's good as well. Keeper seems like he's all right. I think they've got some decent players. I do think they've got a chance. Burnley with the darlings, weren't they, because of Vincent Kompany, and they wonderful style in the Championship. Very different in the Premier League, and I think that physicality, you don't see many teams coming up, do you, that effectively play really great football and out-football other teams in the Premier League from doing it in the Championship. You've seen Norwich play great football in the Championship, whether it was Buendia, whether it was obviously, Cantwell, whoever it might have been, and then come to the Premier League and then really struggle. And I think Sheffield United are just way out of their depth. And I do think Luton, I think they might get a few wins. And then it's the likes of a Bournemouth, isn't it? I know Wolves seem like they've probably got a bit more than we thought they might have had. Everton, if they get 12 points knocked off, then I still think, from what I've seen of Everton this season so far, I would have backed them to stay up after my initial prediction, because I think Dyche has got enough about him to get a tune out of them. But I'm rooting for Luton to stay up, really, but I'm not rooting for them this Sunday afternoon.
Exactly. So, talking about Villa, obviously he's got so many options, Unai, to go with. There's been a lot of news about Nicola Zaniolo in the press around he's faced up to the Italian courts today, which is Friday, and apparently he's given evidence. Looks like he's not potentially going to get banned because he's not bet on football related matches. But would you think that he would get a start? Do you think Emery will bring him in, or do you think that kind of pressure is a little bit too much? And but also Bailey's had such a great game on Thursday.
Bailey's got to start for me. Who'd have thought I would be saying that? Bailey's got to start. I think Bailey will start. There's a cloud obviously over Zaniolo. He's been in Italy today. I think he has to start. I think Diaby has to start. I think obviously Watkins goes without saying. So I think you've got a situation there where I think it'll be those three up top. The question for me will be whether Tielemans played pretty well, whether he gets an opportunity to start in a Premier League game and maybe rests one of the others. I think that's you resting clearly then Louise or McGinn, isn't it? Which I think would be unlikely for a Prem game, but maybe sensible in the grand scale of things.
Yeah, well, I'll put my starting lineup up using FanHub, or our official partners, and I'll show you how you can access FanHub and join us to test out your predictions against us soon. So I've gone for Martinez, standard team to be fair, mate. Cash, Konza, Torres, Digne, Kamara, Louise, McGinn, Diaby, and Bailey in that wide area, and Ollie Watkins up front. Anything that you would do? I mentioned Carlos there as a potential option there for strength, but is there anything else that you might consider? Yuri Tielemans had a great game. Would you maybe consider resting a Kamara, for example?
Yeah, so this is the thing. I said earlier, I expect there might be a few changes, thinking that Emery might do that based on obviously the amount of games lately. I think probably that if I had to pick a team that he would go for, that would be the same team you've gone for there. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a Carlos come in with that physicality of obviously the guys up top for Luton. I think Tielemans for Louise. Obviously, they're slightly different type players rather than Kamara, because Kamara is that holder. Maybe a Dendoncker in for a Kamara might be something else you see. I wouldn't be surprised at any of those, really. I wouldn't expect a wholesale raft of changes, but I think you've got to look at the opposition, not taken for granted, certainly, but you potentially make a couple of changes.
Yeah. So yeah, if you do want to join us on FanHub, then the link to the app is in the description, and all you need to do to jump the queue and get straight into the app is use the golden ticket code, which is RIC-ER1, and that gets you access straight into the app. And you can also do, every week we do some score predictions. They pick 5 games and you do random score predictions. For this week, I've gone for 5 home wins: Bournemouth, Arsenal, Ipswich, Port Vale, and I'm going for Wolves to beat Newcastle. So yeah, we'll see how we get on with that. But yeah, link in the description. Use the golden ticket code. Get yourself straight in. Kev, talking on one or two other Villa players, we've waxed lyrical about Ollie Watkins, but are we looking for him to add to his account against Luton? He's going to be favourite. He's going to be captained a lot in the FPL this week.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of game that he'd be expecting to be able to add to his Premier League tally. He's only 4 goals off the leader at the moment. People thought Haaland might be further away, but gets himself a couple of goals. He could be up there with the likes of Son and Salah. Son's, as we record this, it looks like Spurs are going to get another win. So they're going to be going 7 points clear of us. So that's obviously, give them credit. Good start to the season. I do think they'll probably drop off a little bit, but, they'll probably laughing at me at the moment after saying that the other day. And it seems like they've had most of the ball against Palace at like 75% possession. So, credit to Postecoglou. He's done obviously a really good job. They lose Kane and they play like this. But yeah, I do think that that Watkins will see this as an opportunity to cash in, so to speak.
Or maybe even Matty Cash does the same. We'll have a look at a few stats. There's not too many because obviously we haven't really faced Luton. We played them in 2016 in the EFL Cup and they beat us 3-1. But in terms of the season so far, I'm loving looking at this at the moment. Villa are in 5th position, Luton in 17th, so outside of the relegation zone as it stands. I'm sure they will take that at the end of the season. Villa have won 6, Luton 1. They've drawn 2, Villa have drawn 1. They've lost 2, and Villa have lost 2, and Luton have lost 6. You mentioned there the average goals per game. Villa averaging 2.56 goals per game, which is unreal. Wow. Luton 0.89, so less than the goal per game, which we know in the Premier League when you come up, it's very, very difficult to score. Average goals conceded per match 1.89, so just under 2 goals conceded per game, and then 1.44 for Villa. We're creating almost 1.89, almost 2 chances created per match, 1.56 for Luton. 2 clean sheets. Luton haven't kept a clean sheet this season. And you also mentioned there the goals: Louise on 5, Watkins on 5, Bailey on 3. Assists: Watkins on 5, Moussa Diaby on 3, Dina on 2. And passes, Pau Torres, such a vital part of our game in terms of that passing, and that marvellous Nakamba there, as you said, Kev, 37 tackles. So he's certainly going to be kept busy, I'm sure, in that midfield on Sunday. But yeah, you mentioned there that Luton haven't really had a huge beating since the couple of early games, but you're looking at the tail of the tape there. Villa averaging 2.56 goals per game. Luton averaging just under 2 goals conceded per game and scoring less than a goal a game. It's we're heavy favourites to win. I know there's always exceptions to the rule, frustrations, but I just think, as I said at the start of this pod, the different angles that we have to attack now. You meant sometimes again with Dean Smith, you could kind of nullify Grealish, or under Steven Gerrard, we didn't really have a set way of playing. It was more about moments of magic, as he liked to call it. But now we have fullbacks overlapping. We have incisive passes through the middle. We have Diaby who can pick up the ball in space. We have players who can score goals from outside the box. We have Ollie Watkins. We've got John McGinn. We've got substitutions who can come on and change the game. you got to think that Luton aren't going to be able to contain all of that in 90 minutes.
Yeah, you've also got long balls over the top with like deft touches to link up play, and then rapier-like attacks on the back of that. So we've got everything really. The only thing we haven't got is powering headers in from our centre halves from free kicks and corners. If we added that to our game, I think we'd win the league. Yeah, look, as I think it was Jimmy Greaves once said, football's a funny old game, and we certainly know it isn't played on paper. But if you look at those stats, all those statistics look like it would be an absolute unbelievable result for Luton to get anything out of the game. I still think, I was chatting to someone I worked the other day, a Wolves fan, I was saying, your result against us getting a 1-1 draw at home looks like one of the results of the season at the moment because of obviously what we've been doing. Obviously slightly tongue-in-cheek, but...
Yeah, they're a good side, Wolves. I think they'll give Newcastle a good game tomorrow night.
I've actually predicted on my FanHub as well, Wolves to beat Newcastle as well, so top tip there for anyone that's interested. I agree. I think Wolves are way better than a lot of people thought, and credit to Gary O'Neill for that. But yeah, look, you can't predict anything for certain. But I think if I was going to bet 50 quid on this game, I think I put £49.93 on Villa to beat Luton.
Nice one. Guys, before we get Kev's and myself predictions, do please hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. We are well on the road to 2,700 subscribers. We've also got a competition that's running at the moment, so check out our pinned tweet at Villa Park Pod. Follow the instructions there. Essentially, you need to like and retweet that tweet. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and then reply to the tweet with a screenshot confirming your subscription. You get straight into the draw and you have an opportunity to win a Villa shirt of your choice. And we will draw that on the live match reaction show on Sunday. So you've still got plenty of time to get your entry into the draw. Kev, score prediction for Sunday and scorers, please.
So, because I think we might make a couple of changes, and I don't think we're going to go absolutely full pelt at it. I don't think I'm going to predict, the usual, 4, 5, 6 goals that we seem to score every week. And I'm going to say 3-0 to Aston Villa. A nice, solid, fairly comprehensive 3-0 win. Scorers, I think that the scorers will be Leon Bailey. I think is going to score again. And I think Watkins will score a goal. And I also think that... Ezri Konsa is going to score a goal as well.
Love it.
He's getting around the box a bit lately, hasn't he? Having a few off.
He has. He won a penalty the other day. Yeah. Bailey actually averaging a goal every 115 minutes this season and a goal contribution every 75 minutes as it stands this season, which is incredible. I was going to go 3-0, but just to be different, I'm going to say 4-0. 4-0 Villa. I'm going to say Watkins will bag a goal. I'm gonna say Bailey, Diaby, and Matty Cash on an overlap. It's 4 different scorers again, I believe. So yeah, 4-0 victory to Villa, 3-0 victory from you, Kev. Marching up the table, I don't know. Hopefully that would take us into the top 4. Which would be absolute dreamland. But yeah, I think that does us for match preview show. I've lost my words there. So many shows done this week. That does us for the match preview show. We will be back with match reaction on Sunday night. Hopefully after a victory against Luton. Talking tactics as well will follow next week with Gareth Fans Forum as well, and then match preview for Nottingham Forest the following later on in the week. So loads of shows to come, potentially some transfer talk. You never know. I haven't done a show this week on transfer talk, but there has been 1 or 2 players that have been linked, so we will get into that. Kev, thank you very much. Guys, hit the like button on your way out. Make sure you subscribe. Help us on the road to 3K. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa. Come on.
Up and running, and Villa Park is loud.